This is Dan Doubleday. We are at plot number 1. It's day number 2 of the Revere Beach International Sand Sculpting Festival. And we're here with Angerin David from Belgium. You can see he's still pounding out, but he did carve yesterday. He took his forearms off and he's got a real nice sculpture going with somebody here, I'm not quite sure. And now he's doing a satellite pounder, but I'd kind of like to take a look at this thing from the side to show you the difficulty that he's going to show us. So let's step over to the side. You see Mr. David has got, it's a very thin and narrow piece of sand here. And what you have to understand about sand is it likes to stand like it comes out of an hourglass at about 45 degrees, like the pyramids were built. You see here he's got a pretty sheer, that's almost 90 degrees here, and in the back is a very slight angle. So it's very dangerous because all this is just sitting on top of nothing, and it's very, very heavy sand, and at any time this could just slough down and he'd be starting over. We're here at plot number 2, Abe Waterman from Prince Edward Island, just a little bit to the north and east. Now, yesterday when we looked at his pound up here, we saw that he was about 2 feet off the ground on the original pile that the tractor left. Now, that was powdery dry sand, and if he hadn't made this structural by using his sand as sort of a volcano and walking that in, and then he used every bit of sand that was left to put in his wood. But you can see how strong this sand is because this was put together without a form and without compaction, just Abe working it with his feet. And Abe was able to use every ounce of his sand to do his pound up here, and that's something that we as judges look for because we expect people to use this sand, every bit of it, because it's expensive, and that's just what we want them to do. We wanted to stop around the front of Abe's piece here because he has what we call a cut through here. And not only does he have a cut through, but it looks like he's going to separate these heads, and that's so much weight that's hanging off of nothing but this structure right here. If he undercuts that shit, you have to be an engineer to do this kind of stuff and have a lot of faith in this sand. If he can pull this off, it shows just how good this sand really is. We're at plot number 3 with Steve Toposi, pretty much a local guy, I think from Rhode Island, correct? Correct, and looks like we got something real interesting. You know that Steve has been here for 15 years, I think, since the beginning of 14 years, excuse me, since the beginning of this thing, and he's come a long way. Looks like he's got something a little surrealistic going here. I like it. How do you like your pound up this year?
Oh, the pound was great. Yeah, it really was very solid. I had to actually kind of slush it this time. I'm usually a Tampa guy, and this year I kind of slushed it more, and it's solid.
Do you feel a difference in the sand?
Yeah,
It's better when you kind of slush it now.
I think it's smoother. It's very solid, and you know you're taking more chances because you know how solid it is. So
yeah. See, there's 2 ways to put this together. What he was talking about is tamping. Is some people do this more drier inside the box, so they take this heavy tamper and they kind of squish the sand together. Whereas another way to do it is to waterproof your boxes and liquefy this stuff and make a slurry out of it, walk it around to get all the air out of it, and it turns into really a soft sandstone, actually, huh?
yeah, I mean, like a lot of us are, you know, you and I are like old school guys, and we kind of started with the tampering technique, and you know, I kind of backed off very little at a time, you know, as the years went by. And this year I went more with the slush, you know, what I call the slush pound, so which is just water and sand, and maybe I tampered. You know, every box I tampered that first layer just to be safe.
Just
you know,
to jiggle it in.
Exactly. So
you know, he's a very smart man. The older we get, the longer we do this, the less we want to shovel, the more we want to do our artwork. So Steve, again, used that pile that the tractor put here for him, and he got himself like 3 feet off the ground before he had to fill any box.
Exactly. So that's that was something else I changed too. I mean, the last couple of years I've kind of went in your direction where you're actually using the pile as your first form. So in order to do that, obviously you have to put a lot of water into that pile, and again that water will solidify this particular material. And you know, it's like, wow, instead of using 5 forms, I'm only using 3. So it's and again at my age and in my physicality, you know, it works for me. And I don't like to really go tall. I never did. So this is very comfortable. I'm standing on the ground and I'm carving.
Yeah, you don't have to go tall, and it's just that it means a lot to us as the old guys, you know, to not use all our energy on the pound up. So good job. We'll talk with you again. Carry on.
Thank you, Dan.
See you, Stevie. We're here with Remy Hogart from Holland. You can see how the light catches the shadow on her carvings here. It's very, very pretty. It's poppy. You know how some carvings is kind of mushy. It's hard for you to separate the pieces, but what she's got going here is it really catches light because she has so many facets. It's a beautiful piece. Got a little cut through going there. Is this a self-sculpture here, Remy?
No, it's it's actually a goddess rising. Or a cloud, maybe. I am rising.
Well, it's a pretty piece. She managed to use a good deal of her sand up here on her pound up. Again, she raised it up a little bit on a pile. And Remy's a really, really fine detailed artist. I'm looking forward to see what she's got going here. We're here at plot number 5 with Millie Miller, and she finished her pound up yesterday. She's carving. She's got, you see how she raised her forms up also on the pile? And it looks to me like she's going to go just sheer with this. And you know why this is really so incredible if you think about it. If normal sand like the beach sand we have under our feet here, you have to shape it in the form of a pyramid. That's the only way it'll stay structured. It needs that big a footprint for that height. But with this sand we have here, we can go sometimes 8, 10, and more feet straight up and down, which is incredible. This is granite dust. It's just fine, like talcum powder. It holds onto the water, and that's why we can do this with this sand. Here at the front of Millie's piece, because she's also cutting in on both sides to this this obelisk she's got there. She's also got the view of the ocean seems to be pretty popular this year, the cut through, so they can see this beautiful view. But keep in mind too now that she is thinning this in the middle, which is taking away a lot of the structure. This thing that's already unstable going straight up and down. So we'll see how far she goes with it. If that bottom form comes off, it stays up. We're here with Helena from the Netherlands. You can see it's similar to a configuration of a few others on here. She uses the pile, she uses her form, and goes pretty sheer up. A lot of weight on here. And you can tell she's got a good pound up just by the lines in it. You know, she had a lot of water in this, and it's very solid. That's that pumping action we talked about inside the forms. See, this plastic is put in all the corners here when she puts her boxes together to seal it so that she doesn't lose any water. So she actually has like this little swimming pool full of mud that she compacts and it packs so tight that sometimes the air bubbles won't even come out of it. And so she's got a really good pound up here, and when you get a good pound up like that, you can do just about anything with it. And I'd like to step over to the side and show you guys something. Here at the side of Helena's piece, you can see that this form and this form are very close to the same size when she was going up. And when that happens, you have leakage at these seams because they're not waterproof like the corners. And as you're putting this wet slurry in here, you know, it drips out and it forms this stalactites here. This is just sand that has dripped out of her form from not sealing here. But see, the problem we have with that is every place that happens, you end up with you can see the cracks here. You can see the cracks here. That's all from that water and that stuff escaping and kind of eroding this. So this might fall out, this might fall out, but it's not going to be a problem because it really doesn't hurt this piece structurally. We're here with Joby, and every year Joby surprises us with something new, a new technique, something that's different. And he's a crazy man to even try this stuff. You know how I told you a couple of plots ago that the beach said we'd have to make something that is shaped like a pyramid in order to stand up. He's not only gone straight up, but now he's cut into this. He's got so much weight on top of here being supported by relatively nothing. It's crazy. Well, if he can pull this off, that'll really prove what this sand is all about. And if you look, even in here, this has got some dry spots here that didn't even get compacted, and it's still, this is nuts. Are you sure about this?
Nope.
I don't even want to get too near this thing. It is just amazing. I don't know where he's going, but wow, that's really taking a chance. We're here with Fergus Mulvaney from Ireland. Fergus is, I've seen Fergus around the world for a number of years. He has a definite style that's all his own. This is his first time in Boston, but it's not his first time at a rodeo. He's a very competitive sand sculptor, and he's found all over the world working projects and competitions. And he does a style that's all his own. It's either shapes and lines. It's so aesthetically pleasing to the eyes. I don't know where he's going with this yet, but I can see right now this is a Fergus piece, and I'm looking forward to seeing what he's going to pull off here. Cool.